Jai He Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai He Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Girivaradhari Gopiyanavalava Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrayajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrayajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jai He Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Gopiyanavalava Girivaradhari Jaya Gopiyanavalava Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrayajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrayajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narotaman Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Yaya Nudirajet Nasta Prayesu Vadesu Nityam Bhavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamai Sloke Bhaktir Bhavaiti Naisikim. Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 18, Text number 19. Striyo vratatstva rishikeshvaran vratsvato Hyaradya loke patina satejnyam Tasang nate vai paripantya patyam Priyandana yansi yato swatantra Striyo vratastva rishikeshvaram swato Hyaradya loke patina sasatenyam Tasang nate vai paripantya patyam Priyandanas yunsi yato swatantra Striyo vratastva rishikeshvaran swato Hyaradya loke patina satenyam Tasang te vai paripantya patyam Priyam danajum siyato swatantra Striyo vatraistva rishikeshvaran swato Hare dialoke patinasate nyam Tasam nate vai paripantya patyam Priyanda suyayato swatantra Striyo vrataistva rishikeshvaran swato Hare dialoke patinasate nyam Asanate vai paripantya patyam Priyandanam siyato swatantra Striyo vrataistva rishikeshvara swato Hare dialoke patinasate nyam Tasannate vai paripantya patyam Priyandanajum siyato swatantra. Anyone else who would like to repeat the text? Striyo vrataistva rishikeshvaran swato Hare dialoke patinasate nyam Tatam sate vai paripantya patyam Priyandanayam siyato swatantra. Thank you. Translation word by word. If you can repeat, please. Striya, old women. Vratai, by observing fasting and other vows. Twa, you. Rishikeshvara, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Master of the senses. Swata, of your own accord. He, certainly. Aradhya, worshipping. Loke, in the world. Patim, a husband. Asasate, ask for. Anyam, another. Dasam, of all those women. Na, not. Te, the husbands. By, indeed. Paripanti, able to protect. Apatyam, the children's. Priyam, very dear. Dana, the wealth. Dusi, or the duration of life. Yata, because. Aswatantra, dependent. Translation and purpose by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. My dear Lord, you are certainly the fully independent master of all senses. Therefore, all women who worship you by strictly observing vows, because they wish to acquire a husband to satisfy their senses, are surely under illusion. They do not know that such a husband cannot actually give protection to them or their children. Not can be protect their wealth or duration of life, for he himself is dependent on time, fruitive results of the modes of nature, which are all subordinate to you. Perfect. In this verse, Lakshmi Devi, Rama, shows compassion towards women who worship the Lord for the benediction of possessing a good husband. Although such women desire to be happy with children's wealth, a long duration of life, and everything dear to them, they cannot possibly do so. In the material world, a so-called husband is dependent on the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many examples of a woman whose husband, being dependent of the result of his own fruitive actions, cannot maintain his wife, her children, her wealth, or her duration of life. Therefore, factually, the only real husband of all women is Krishna, the Supreme Husband. Because the gopis were liberated souls, they understood this fact. Therefore, they rejected their material husbands and accepted Krishna as their real husband. Krishna is the real husband not only of the gopis, but every living entity. Everyone should perfectly understood that Krishna is the real husband of all living entities, who are described in the Bhagavad Gita as Prakriti, females, not Purusha, males. In Bhagavad Gita 10:12, only Krishna is addressed as Purusha. Param Brahma Param Dhamma Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purushan Sasvatan Divyan Adideva Ajam Vibhum. You are the Supreme Brahman, the ultimate of the Supreme Abode and the Purifier, the Absolute Truth and the Eternal Divine Person. You are the Primal God, Transcendental and Original, and you are the Unborn and all-pervading Beauty. Krishna is the original Purusha, and the living entities are Prakriti. Thus, Krishna is the enjoyer, and all living entities are meant to be enjoyed by him. Therefore, any woman who seeks a material husband for her protection, or any man who desires to become a husband of a woman, is under illusion. To become a husband means to maintain a wife and children nicely by supplying wealth and security. However, a material husband cannot possibly do this, for he is dependent on his karma. Karmana daiva netrena. His circumstances are determined by his past fruitive activities. Therefore, if one proudly thinks that he can protect his wife, he is under illusion. Krishna is the only husband, and therefore the relationship between husband and wife in this material world cannot be absolute, because we have the desire to marry. Krishna mercifully allowed the so-called husband to possess a wife, and the wife to possess a so-called husband, for mutual satisfaction. In the Upanishad it is said, Tena tyaktiena bhunjita. The Lord provides everyone with his quota. Actually, however, every living entity is Prakriti or female, and Krishna is the only husband. Ekaleishvara Krishna Are Savavritya Jare Jaiche Nachaya Seita Chekare Nitya. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi 5.142. Krishna is the original master or husband of everyone, and all other living entities, having taken the form of so-called husband or wives, are dancing according to his desires. A so-called husband may unite with his wife for sense gratification, but his senses are conducted by Rishikesha, the master of the senses, who is therefore the actual husband. Anangyana Mirandasya Gyanangyana Salakaya Chakshuramitanjana Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Gankaroti Vachalam Fangun Langayate Girin Jatkripata Maham Bande Sri Gurundina Charinam Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutade Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami iti namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunjavadi Paschatyade Satarine Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutade Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami iti namine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for coming to this Śrīmad Bhāgavatam and giving me the opportunity to talk or share some little realizations, understanding about this topic. As usual, we all understand that Bhagavatam is Krishna himself, and the fact or the opportunity to talk or present Bhagavatam is just a process of purification for the speaker and for the audience. So doesn't mean that we are qualified to do it, but it's just out of mercy, Krishna's mercy. So in that way, I would like to request your also blessings, so I can be able to present something that can be useful for you all. Well, thank you. In order to address this topic, I thought it would be good to set a little bit the context, what is happening. We are in this chapter is the residents of Jambudvip offer prayers. So we've been reading, studying different type of prayers from different residents of Jambudvip, the different islands, different Varshas. And each one presented the different type of prayers according to their circumstances. So it's important for us to understand, for example, these sets of prayers are in a way describing all different variety of psychological makeups that we can find in our universe and we can relate to. So Bhagavatam presented a variety of prayers that we can feel related or inspired as well, and describing one way our personal circumstances. So we can identify with that and receive the benefit of reciting them and learn how to do it in order to attain our purpose. Because all of us, we learn that in the process of bhakti yoga, we have different activities that can facilitate this process, 9 different activities, 9 activities that we can do it. First is the Kirtan, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Vanjanam, and Vanjana is one of them, that means prayers. So it's an authorized activity, and it has a purpose, and each one of these activities has the potential to give us the full power to get the goal of our life, purification and love for God. So if we do it properly, bandhana, as a offering prayers, has the potential to give us that we are looking for. So Bhagavatam is full of these prayers. We recite from the first canto, for example, Arjuna's prayers, Queen Kunti, Bhishma prayers, and now we are with the residents of Jambudita as well. And in this case, specifically, is Lakshmi Devi. So, in order to understand, for example, how we should pray, there is a system how we can offer prayers. Many of us, we don't know how to do it. If you remember the pastime of Dhruva Maharaj, when he was having darshan of the Lord, he wanted to offer prayers, but he didn't know how to do it. Do you remember what happened at that time? How he started praying to the Lord? That's right. Krishna empowered him with touch of the conscience. Yeah, thank you. Yes, so in that way, we also can relate. If we don't know how to pray, Krishna can help us to do it. And also, the examples in the Bhagavatam can give us some guidelines, how we can present our prayers. And generally, we offer prayers to the Lord with different purpose, with different motives. But there is a standard way how to do it. And do you remember how generally our advanced devotees or the prayers in Bhagavatam start? What are the words that in the beginning first are presented? There is a way. No, it's not like I approach to the Lord, I want to demand what I want. First, there is an appropriate attitude. Do you remember, or can you relate to what is the first word that we use, or they use? Namo. Yes, that's right. It's because first with submissive attitude, we offer our obeisances. Oh, the prayers is like that. First is offering obeisances, Nama. Nama Pankaya Netraya, Nama Pankanavaya. That's the Kunti's prayers. And here also, Lakshmi Devi, when she starts her prayers, it's Nama, revealing that the attitude, the appropriate attitude, how we can address to the Lord, offering some prayers. And then after offering obeisances or reverence, what we can do, the next part is glorifying the Lord, the qualities of the Lord. So it's that I would say, how prayer should be done. First obeisances, then describing the good qualities and the activities of the Lord. And then we can approach with our petition. And at the end also it's not just, I want this, it's after you, my Lord. If you want, you can give it us, or you can satisfy this desire. It's important for us to know how we can offer prayers, because it's part of our process, an authorized process. So here, in this specific text, Lakshmi Devi also is offering the same sequence obeisances to the Lord, glorifying the qualities of the Lord, and now it's one of these characteristics of the Lord. He is the controller of everything. He is the husband of every living entity. And as we said in the beginning, for example, the prayers that every devotee in the Bhagavatam is offering to the Lord is according to their circumstances. So in this case, Lakshmi is addressing to the Lord in her personal circumstance as the wife of the Lord. She is addressing to him as her husband. And the important point that personally I found quite insightful when Prabhupada for example, said that in the beginning of the purpose, that Lakshmi Devi is showing compassion towards women. So how she is showing that compassion, do you know? Or can we understand how she is showing that compassion towards all women? Is saying, for example, Tadastu, all your desires will be fulfilled. Women generally are looking for a husband who can provide protection and supply all the needs for her. So Lakshmi Devi, her compassion is saying, Tadastu, all your desires will be fulfilled. Is that her compassion? No? How is her compassion shown here? Shown, do you know? Telling the truth? Yeah, and what is that truth?
By helping them to think that they're not the body, to rise above body.
Yeah, rising above the bodily conception. What else?
Their husbands can't actually protect them.
Yeah, the husband, yeah, the so-called husband they cannot protect, yeah. And what else? That's something very important.
Leading them to the correct path and showing who's the actual husband.
That's right, thank you.
It's acting like almost like a spiritual master.
Yeah, that's right. It's making sure that every woman understands that the real husband is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is her compassion. And it's the same point, like if you can remember the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj when he, from the male point of view, is also expressing or preaching that this material world is a dark world, the marriage, it's entanglement. The same thing, it's our Lakshmi Devi now preaching from the female point of view to females, the same principle. So and she does it in different ways also, not just in this part of the Bhagavatam. Do you remember what Rukmini said to Krishna in 10th canto about the same point? Rukmini is an expansion of Lakshmi, yes? Yeah, it's Lakshmi Devi as well. She also expressed to Krishna, no, why I should marry another person, accept another male, material body. She also presented the same point. And in another part of the Bhagavatam, Lakshmi Devi as well conveyed the same message in another pastime. Do you remember what happened when the turning of the ocean in 8th canto? Lakshmi Devi came out from there, and what she was doing, she was holding a garland, looking for a husband. And what she did?
She was evaluating each person and she was disqualifying each one.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, she was. Though maybe this is bad temper, no good temper, or okay, he's also mortal, he's no immortal, and finally he reached Narayan, and she gave the garland to Narayan, accepting him as her husband. And the same way, it's the same principle Lakshmi Devi conveying here in the different parts of Bhagavatam as well. For all of us to understand that Krishna is the real husband of every living entity, but because, as Mataji also mentioned, is rising a bit more about the bodily conception, understanding our identity. And Prabhupada nicely clarified this point in the purpose about we as a Prakriti, all the living entities as a Prakriti, and in that way dependent of the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Purusha, Krishna. So in that way, it's not like we should understand the bodies that we have here, female or male, it's just a temporary circumstances are covered, but as an essence, all of us, we share the same nature. So our constitutional nature is to be dependent from the Lord. So that is that nature we share, all of us, as a prakriti, as a spiritual soul. So we cannot act independently. We want it. So for that reason, we came to this material world trying to act independent from the Lord, and we embark in that adventure of trying to enjoy in this material world, trying to control and enjoy in this material world. But we always face difficulties because we are not able to do so. And that frustration creates a lot of suffering, and because false identification, false conception of life. So understanding this point is very, I would say, essential for all of us, because somehow or another we are active in this material life now, in our current circumstances, and we are interacting with other living entities, with Krishna's energy, and in that way we develop some temporary relationships as well. So if we understand our position, our temporary relationships can be also dovetails in devotional service and provide us facilities for us in our devotional service, in our process going back to Godhead. So, but again, understanding that who is the real protector, the real supplier of our needs, it's an important principle that applies to everyone, not just women or to women, because even males or men, they need protection. Am I wrong? Yeah? See, yeah, everybody. So, and also important to understand that who is really a man. Prabhupada in the purpose clarify this point. Who is a man is the one who is able to provide protection, who is able to maintain. And nobody can do it that independently. It's only Krishna, the one who can do it. Because all of us, we are dependent from our previous activities, the karma that we are influence us, also kala, and the modes of nature. Of course, all of them are directly controlled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in that way, nobody is independent or able to provide or able to protect without Krishna's protection, without Krishna's help. We can try to assist, we can try to help each other, but if we align our endeavor with the Supreme Protector, otherwise will be frustration in our attempt to do so. And what to say, for example, expecting from other living entities that as well. All of us, we grew up in a society where we receive protection, for example, from the very beginning from our parents, then gradually from friends, the job or the government, but all are temporary experience also and frustrating in many aspects. Nobody can say that the protection that they receive is all fulfilling and satisfying. But that's an artificial way how we attempt to look for, or to get protection from the fallible means, because our searching for protection, security, it's constant and natural as an understanding that our dependence as a constitutional position. So when we are not feeling protected, we feel fear, and that is the main problem in our conditional state, because again, bodily conception of life, looking for artificial or secondary or temporary means for protection doesn't guarantee us the protection that we are looking for, and then we experience fear. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is trying to instill faith, trust in Krishna and Arjuna. Krishna is trying to convey to Arjuna, please do not fear, I will protect you. And he does this in different ways. And whole Bhagavad Gita, different parts, Krishna is explaining, I'm the source of everything, I'm the provider of everything, do not fear. Even when he showed the universal form to Arjuna, he conveyed two messages to Arjuna in that universal form. Graphically, in the universal form, Arjuna was able to see how his enemies, all the Kauravas, were destroyed, that they were crushed, and the tears of the Lord, the universal form, you see that? And he saw all that, so he got that understanding that Krishna, all of my enemies will be killed. That's one. And the another aspect that Arjuna got from having that darshan is that Krishna is in the control, in everything, and he's the source of everything, because Arjuna was able to see everything in that universal form. The description, it's quite overwhelming. So that way, it was quite a strong, intense experience for Arjuna to see that overwhelming form of the Lord. But at the same time, he got these 2 points, 2 messages that gave him that those points gave to him that Krishna is the controller. So you have to have faith on that. So at the end, even, for example, that's beautiful in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explained as well, I'm the source of everything that is essential for the living entity. From the external point of view as well, like for example, I'm the source of the light of the sun, the moon, and the fire, and also the digesting fire in the body. But also 15:15, Krishna says, internally I'm also the source of the knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. I'm in the heart of all living entities. So again and again reinforcing that point. Trust on me, Arjuna, I'm the source of everything. Do not fear, I'll take care of everything. So again, Krishna Krishna trying constantly to convey that message to all of us. And personally, yesterday when I was trying to prepare for the class, listening some lectures, I found quite interesting that point that Krishna is very active in that conveying his endeavor to bring us close to him, to save us. The nature of love in one way, that whoever loves somebody will do everything as possible that the other person would be okay, safe, happy, and Krishna is doing that for all of us. And his endeavor is constant in different ways, but he is not forcing us. He is giving us the freedom as well. That's one point that I wanted to emphasize, the importance of understanding of the dependence of Krishna. And our main problem is fear, because we are experiencing, looking for protection from material or temporary factors that they are not are successful in that providing protection to us, and we are scared. And the only way to experience protection that is inherent of our nature, it's coming from Krishna, the original source of everything. Krishna, he said that because of that looking for security and protection, we are trying to endeavor to arrange different means in our activities according to our circumstances, but we fail to do so, and we are scared. People are for example, we see the main constant concern is what will happen in the future. We have fear for the future, the uncertainty, but actually it's not the future itself, but it's the uncertainty that I cannot control what will happen. So that sense of control gives us some kind of security. But when we realize that we cannot control what will happen, we can have idea probably what will happen, but we cannot control that. That is scary. The only way how we can get peace of mind is understanding that Krishna is the one who is in control and he will give us protection. And that is a very important journey that all of us as spiritual practitioners, we need to achieve. That Krishna will take care of us. So it's something that we need gradually being very mindful and cultivate that understanding. Well, not just understanding theoretically, but realization. And this process, the way how Prabhupada designed our morning program and activities in Krishna consciousness, it's helping us to develop that realization. That Krishna will take care of us, that conviction. And then our mind will achieve that peace that we are hungering for. Because that fear that we somehow or another experience is just a sign that lack of our trust, our faith that Krishna will protect us. And he is the only one who can give us that protection. Yes, that is one point that we wanted to mention. And also that's the realization that even in a so-called perfect circumstance like Kardama Muni and Devahuti, do you remember that pastime in the third canto? That Kardama Muni is described as the so-called ideal husband, knowledgeable, intelligent, devotee, and who was protecting her, and Devahuti, a qualified lady as well, devotee with good qualities. And they developed that relationship of husband and wife, assisting each other in the process of cultivating Krishna consciousness as ideal grihastras. But Devahuti, she requests something to Kapila Dev. That's a very important point for all of us to understand. Devahuti, at the end, when she got a child, Kapila Dev, and he instructed her, she said, I have a request. Please give me freedom for fear. Give me fearlessness. And how is that possible? No, because she got the ideal husband, the ideal circumstances. Even her son is an incarnation of the Lord, and she was experiencing fear. So that's another way for us to understand that all the material circumstances, even for example, in order endeavor practicing Krishna consciousness, it won't be enough if not are related directly with Krishna. Otherwise, we will fail and experience the same frustration that it's not enough, that what we are expecting. And personally, when I was reading that aspect of the Devahuti requesting fearlessness, it was like an eye-opening. We can try to endeavor to facilitate or accommodate resources from our perspective, what we can or would be favorable for the successful of our goals, but it will fail. It's only Krishna who can give us, because fear is something that all of us in different degrees we experience, and that is more directly vivid at the moment of death, when we are dying or we will die. Or different devotees or people have experience when we face death, or for example accidents or some kind of incidents that your life is threatened. It's a lot of fear. But even again, practicing Krishna consciousness or practicing the process, we experience in some degrees that fear. So that can give us some sign to help us to understand where is our position or where we are at, what is our level of understanding about this point. So I'll stop here. If you want to do any comments, questions. Having fear is good or no good? I thank you for the question, Prabhu. But depends on having fear from what, because basically the fear that most of us experience is because the false identification that we have, understanding that, or considering that we are the body, we don't have that realization of a spiritual soul that is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge and those. So if we realize that position, that nature of us, the fear will disappear, because as a spiritual souls we are eternal, we don't die. If that kind of fear, it's in that sense not so favorable, but we should have also fear in the sense of offending devotees, for example, or no endeavor enough to please Krishna in our relationship with Krishna. Be careful, mindful how I'm practicing the process. It's no fear, but it's carefulness, be cautious. Yeah, because we don't want to fail Krishna, and more in that way. Fear, that kind of fear is favorable, can be inspiring as well, can be motivational. That's my humble understanding. Can somebody else, if somebody else would like to say something more about that point? Mm.
This verse seems to be... Anyway, firstly, thanks for the nice class. This verse seems to be instructing women about being detached from the family, or not to consider the husband as a real husband. How do they balance that with their current responsibilities of having a child, protecting their children, and having a husband? How do they do their duty at the same time have this understanding? How do they balance?
Mm. Thank you for the question, Prabhu. Again, my little understanding about that topic, if we are endeavoring in our Krishna consciousness, understanding that everything belongs to Krishna and Krishna is under control, and we want to please Krishna, trying to be engaged in devotional service, assuming responsibilities in those variety of relationships, temporary relationships that we have, for the pleasure of Krishna as a devotional service, can make us or give us the opportunity to interact in a respectful, responsible manner with all the variety living entities and the relationship that we develop with them. So in that sense, the balance is created because of trying to do my devotional service or interacting with others for Krishna's pleasure, respecting other living entities as a energy of Krishna, spiritual souls, and all together helping each other in growing in our Krishna consciousness, assisting each other. So naturally we'll generate that loving exchanges, respectful exchanges, responsibility. But that requires a lot of maturity as well. And understanding also our current circumstances, because yet we are a spiritual soul, all of us, we share the same nature, but we are influenced by the modes of nature in a different ways. For that reason we have the bodies, different bodies, and we have to acknowledge the influence of them in how we perform our devotional service as well. So in that way, Swadharma and Dharma, Sanatana Dharma, it's very important to create that harmony, because I have to acknowledge that in this current life, for example, I have the female body. And this female body has the influence of the modes of nature, my previous karma, kala, so, and in a different degrees compared, for example, to male body. So we are in this way, for example, in the female body, I'm able to perform some activities that a male body is not able to perform. So we can complement each other for the performance of devotional service, Krishna's pleasure, in harmony as well. Very important to understand that, the balance of understanding what is my current circumstance, so based on that, utilizing as a favorable element in my process and growing process. Did that answer your question, Prabhu? Okay. Thank you. Anyone? Any more questions or comments? Ladies? The ideal husband? Quite important that point also for, I consider one of the mercy, as Prabhu mentioned, the mercy of Lakshmi Devi towards women, telling the truth. It's important to realize that we cannot expect the perfect husband in this material creation. We're looking for, it's natural, looking for the ideal husband and the devotee with knowledge who will protect us. Yeah, it's like a natural tendency. But we need to be aware that it won't be possible in this material creation to achieve that with whole perfect arrangement that we dream with or we dream of. But the only person who can be the ideal husband is Krishna. But we can interact with the so-called husband, as Bhagavatam said, as a mean for us to temporary arrangement that it's like how is the word, utilizing the bad bargain or something. best use of the bad bargain. Yeah, that's right. So in that sense, but acknowledging that we cannot, the expectations that we have, it should be more realistic and be clear in that way. If we embark in that journey of grihastra ashram or husband, or accepting a husband, the expectation at the perfect husband should be clearly, I would say, avoid, because it won't happen in this material world unless we achieve pure Krishna consciousness and, of course, Krishna's arrangements as well. Anything else? Thank you for your time. Granted